of the Singapore Grand Prix, who crumbled and who tumbled. Well, that's both, you know, tumbled to victory inside it. I mean, it's almost split in half. And once again, I mean, Gasly, not particularly great if I'm honest, but he is, let's be fair, Pierre Gasly, he is in the Alpine, which, yeah, he finished 19th. He is in the Alpine, which, let's be fair, is not really doing that much anymore these days, sadly. And then let's look about another one for Esteban, knocking a lap down in 18th, where your teammate ended up getting points. Ollie Behrman, 9th. I just had to check that, sorry for the pause. But yeah, where he finished at 18th. The qualifying is what really made it bad, but still. Lance Stroll, I've got here, yeah, I mean, he finished quite high up in the end, 13th. It was down to that really good strategy. He was moaning. It's Lance Stroll, isn't it? I mean, yeah. What are you going to do? Bortoletto. Now, Gabriel Bortoletto, yeah, he actually beat Hulkenberg this time. But both him and Hulkenberg, kind of like nowhere, really, if I'm honest. Kind of like by the by, because it's Hulkenberg who's actually next, and not particularly great from either of them. Maybe this wasn't a circuit that suited them, because we're quite often now used to at least one of those kick Saubers looking like they're going to get in the points. Sadly, it never really happened. Next up, we've got Mr. Colapinto. He finished 16th. He beat his teammate Gasly, which is the absolute minimum, and he absolutely needs to beat his teammate Gasly, if I'm honest, if he's going to save his seat at Alpine. Next up, we've got Sonoda. I mean, these are all by the by now. You know, you could like mix and match them, but these are all slightly negative. He didn't have an amazing race. He got up to 12th, I guess. Very average when you look at his race time. It wasn't particularly good. Alex Albon didn't do too bad, but still finished 14th. When your teammate finished 10th, doesn't look particularly good, and he maybe didn't have the best strategy compared to Carlos Sainz. But there we go. And again, Liam Lawson, where did he finish? 15th. Again, very, very average for Liam Lawson. Now, here comes the more controversial one on the loser side before we get into the winners. And it's this guy here. You might think he got screwed out of his place when Lando Norris yeeted it on the inside. However, it's the reaction that he had. He was still moaning 6 to 7 laps into the race, which I can understand in a way. And I honestly think he let it get to his head. And where he should have maybe been faster than Lando, because Lando was compromised with that slight damage to the front wing, because we know how close the two McLaren drivers are, that he didn't really catch Lando at all. Sort of equalised in that second part of the race after they pitted, but still I was really disappointed in Oscar Piastri. I can't help but feeling it just seemed like it wasn't good enough. And then after the race, when if he indeed did disconnect the radio, yeah, it's a bit childish, really. I understand why you're angry, but get a grip. I mean, Oscar, we love you because you're the Iceman. You're not the Melty Man. You're not the Melty Man. You were the Melty Man today. So now in the positive, well done, Fernando Alonso. Yes, I know he was thinking he was the greatest racer out there against Hadjar, who had a crippling engine problem. So you probably weren't Fernando, but we all enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it. I think when he finds out that Hadjar had an engine problem, maybe, but it was really entertaining. And I think it said more about Hadjar, that fight, than it did Alonso, I think. So next up, we've got Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. We're basically putting them kind of like together. Hamilton's next. Both Ferrari drivers. It's kind of like about the best they could have done with the car, really. Hamilton, yes, he did try something different because he could. On those soft tyres, he was so fast. Leclerc led him by. Had the brakes not been done, he probably would have got past Kimi Antonelli. But if his F1 spelled backwards, as Murray Walker used to say, so we will never know. Another honourable mention, though, for this guy here, Isaac Hadjar. Yes, he finished 11th, but he was running in the points. He obviously had a solid qualifying. But considering he was having issues with the car, and the battle he had with Alonso to try and hold him off, never give up, never surrender. That is what a team boss wants to see. Not, I'm just going to let them by, they're not in my race. I don't know why I sounded northern then. But yeah, they're not in my race. I'm going, no. Yeah, I mean, well done, Isaac Hadjar. Fought tooth and nail, absolute respect. This is why you're probably going to be Rookie of the Year. And speaking of rookies, well done to Kimi Antonelli. He didn't have the best start, but he ended up finishing 5th. Yes, it was a good 33.6 seconds behind his teammate George Russell. But I think after qualifying after the race, it was a solid, if not overly spectacular result from Kimi Antonelli. But I think this guy did really well. And it's Oliver Bearman finishing 9th. Well done, Oliver Bearman. Really showing up Esteban Ocon for the whole weekend. He kept it cool, and he did, even amongst all the traffic. Well done, Oliver Bearman. And he's one of the few that actually made a decent pass as well. So we've got Lando Norris next up in the 4th. Yes, he finished 3rd on the podium. There is one person ahead of him who I think deserves to be ahead of him, which we'll get into. But what I did like about Lando Norris is the positive about it. On the start, he didn't lose any positions. He actually had a really decent start going into that corner, and he was aggressive. I don't think he was too aggressive. It was unfortunate about the incident between him and his teammate, but he was aggressive. We like to see that. Well done, Lando. I mean, I was cheering him on going, get in there. He did really well. And if it wasn't for that aggressive start, he wouldn't have finished 3rd. And he wouldn't have finished, obviously, in front of his teammate. Because then, in spite of the broken front wing, he then continued to be faster than his teammate in that first half of the race. And then Oscar came back at him a couple of tenths, and then he was getting held up by Verstappen. But we're not going to get to Verstappen yet, because this guy here, I mean, starting all the way back and then finishing in the points was a dream for Williams. Well done, Carlos Sainz. I mean, I know you finished on the podium at Baku, but this was just as amazing, I think, performance after being disqualified in qualifying. Chef's kiss for Carlos Sainz. Now, in second, yeah, you finished second, but I think he did a really good job. He did about as good as he could do. He gambled on the softs. Fair play, one of the few people to do it at the top. It didn't work, and then he held off Lando Norris in what was quite a difficult car, and he made those soft tyres work as long as he could. So I think Verstappen did a really, really good job and kept himself. Here's the important bit. He kept himself in the hunt for the World Championship. We know the constructors are done, the constructors are over, but Verstappen kept himself in the hunt for that World Championship, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, our star of the race, our man of the race is George Russell. From pole, he led, yeah, I guess, kind of like Baku. It wasn't a difficult one because Verstappen held up what I believe was Lando Norris, who was I think the fastest car here today. But he kept it all under control. Very good start. And yeah, there were no safety cars. I think for George Russell, he just had a really good weekend in a Mercedes that we know is hard to drive, but they found the perfect setup, and he proved again why Toto Wolff should sign him to, let's be fair, a 2-year deal, which he's trying to hold out for. I think it's Toto Wolff ultimately that's going to have egg on his face here, because George Russell is having the season of his life. It's absolutely he's doing absolutely fantastic. So there we go. But I'd like to say once again, a massive congratulations to McLaren, the Constructors' Champion. If you made it to the end, please give us a subscribe. That will be uber helpful. Thank you very much. If you already subscribed, you just watching this is more than enough. But until then, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much. But above all else, stay safe.